Hear me okay? Now you can. I've got a little bit of a cold here. I'll try not to pass that along to the rest of you here this morning. But that's not stopping me from being in very high spirits this morning. It's kind of an interesting look as I look out at the crowd here. A lot of people look like you had a late night last night. Did anyone go out to the airport? It looks like a lot of you did what I did. As you didn't go out to the airport, but you were so excited you lay in bed and couldn't get to sleep, right? Thinking about the Bills' great performance last night, right? So sometimes the best things in life you have to wait for, right? And you have to work for it, right? Nothing that's good ever comes easy. My mom used to tell me that all the time. And that's kind of been the story here, not just of the Hotel Niagara, but of the revitalization of downtown Niagara Falls. Governor, I can remember several years ago, I'm thinking it's got to be, 5 or 6, or it may be longer than that now, but, about the time that you took office, we went on a walking tour down here. And I was pointing out all of the fantastic new accommodations in downtown Niagara Falls, all of the great construction. Of course, the one problem was that none of it was actually happening at that time. What I was pointing at was a lot of vacant lots and in many cases closed and dilapidated buildings. But we had a plan, right? We had a process, and we stuck to that process. And as a result of that, we now find ourselves in a totally different downtown Niagara Falls with a growing tourism industry. And I'm not sure exactly where the ceiling is for that growing tourism industry, but it is reflected not just in construction here, but in construction nearby that's underway, and plans for additional hotel construction. And all of that, in turn, has been fueled by a very, very wise decision that you, the governor, made several years ago. I think in response to a New York Times article that called the facilities at our state park shabby, right? Well, you knew the governor wasn't going to stand for that, right? And so we got an investment of $70 million here in tourism infrastructure in our greatest asset in the tourism economy, which is, of course, a fantastic Niagara Falls State Park. And boy, the world has taken notice, right? And the world has been at our doorstep ever since. And we've been struggling basically to keep up. As fast as we built new high-quality hotel rooms, more people come and stay in them, and we find that we need to build still more. So that reminds me of back in the day, when I went off to college, you get homesick, so you're always inviting all your friends to come visit you, right? So that first break weekend, they show up at the front door of your apartment with a keg of beer, knock on the door, and everything's great until you realize you don't have any beds for them to sleep in, right? Okay. Well, that's the same way it is in the tourism economy. A hotel is like a factory to the industrial economy. If somebody comes to visit here, if you don't have a bed to put them in, when the sun goes down, they can't stay, right? So we need to keep up with accommodations in order to accommodate the growing number of visitors to Niagara Falls. And what a fantastic project we're here to celebrate today. It's always a good day when you're here to visit us in Niagara Falls, Kathy Hochul, but particularly proud today to be celebrating the beginning of the next chapter in the history of this iconic and historic building, the Hotel Niagara. Ladies and gentlemen, could you have a big hand for our Lieutenant Governor, Kathy Hochul?
The applause sounds really interesting when it's muffled with the gloves on everybody's hands. That's what I say. But you did a great job regardless. And yes, we're all a little tired. Go Bills, go all the way Bills. And we are so excited. Again, another symbol of a community that's making a comeback. Not just our teams, but the buildings, the development, but also the psychological impact that we felt, whether it's Monday morning and seeing headlines playoff bound, or whether it's coming to this place and seeing new energy, new optimism associated with a building that's been known as part of Niagara Falls' family and history since 1924. And I don't have any evidence to prove or disprove whether or not Joe DiMaggio and Marilyn Monroe actually stayed here. I don't know whether JFK really stayed here, but hey, they might. So that's still part of the story. I'm going to stick with that. They may or may not have. Okay, I think that's about as accurate as I can get. But there's a great story to be told here, and it has been a crime that it has been lost for over a dozen years. And to be here today, on the cusp of a whole new era, that this rebuilding will herald in, is so exciting for me as someone who officially comes here many, many times, and unofficially do not know that that was me sitting in the Hard Rock Cafe over Thanksgiving with my family, or wandering around the brink of the falls, showing my nieces how far not to go. I come here often because my heart is in this community. And so it is with tremendous pride that we are able to look at this building, the comeback, the investments from the state. I also love the fact that in addition to 160 new brand new rooms, which will house all of the mayor's cake drinking friends, but also 150 construction jobs, 67 full-time jobs when it's complete. So the governor and I are focused on job creation. We can create jobs with projects like these, and funding. I mean, this is invested over $4.4 billion $1 million from the Buffalo Billion, and that was for the purchase. I mean, that's money well spent. And the great partnership with the city and Niagara, and with our USA Niagara, it was a brilliant idea to capture this place and use government dollars to help with the acquisition, because otherwise we could be looking at another dozen years of a vacant building. So I'm proud of the fact that we've been able to assist with, there'll be $10 million of the state and federal historic tax credits, expected $3.5 million of Empire State Development when it's all finished, and the total project cost of $42 million invested right here. And so there's incredible people behind this, and I think about the mayor and those early tours we took, and the fact that you could point to empty lots and see something there where no one else does is the definition of a visionary. And that is what has been describes your tenure as a leader of this community, taking us from the abyss to a time that we are so proud of, overseeing over 5 brand new hotels and redevelopment of 2 others, and what we've done at the aquarium, and what we've done with the Underground Railroad Museum, and at the train station, and the brink of the falls, what we've done there, and Robert Moses, who's probably turning in his grave whenever he hears the name Paul Deister, but you were able to correct one of the mistakes of history by opening up the water, our jewel, the beautiful Niagara River, to the people as it should have been, and that'll always be part of your legacy. So to Mayor Deister, I want to give you a special round of applause for your transformative leadership. Good partners like Angela Marinello, who's always been in our ribbon cuttings. He calls me Santa Claus because I bring so many gifts for everybody. I'm happy to have that title. Also, former Assembly member Francine Delmonte, who now has assumed the position as chair of USA Niagara. What an extraordinary difference you're making there as well. I think Mark Mastretta is here too from New York State Park. Mark, thank you for being such a great steward of our beautiful assets here in this region. And Gary Siddall from the aquarium here. Gary, how are my penguins doing?
Very well.
Okay, I was playing with penguins a month ago. We kind of bonded. So there's just great things going on here, and I get a chance to cover the entire state all the time. I hit all 62 counties once again last week, 5 years in a row. But this community has such unique assets, and now to be able to have a hotel that is worthy of the name Niagara. And I am so excited to know that the person who stepped up to develop this, Ed Riley, I was able to see firsthand what he did with the Hotel Syracuse. And as a student at Syracuse University, I was probably one of the last people to ever go there. My parents took me for lunch to celebrate the fact that I actually graduated on time, and there was a little risk involved in whether that would actually happen. We celebrated there. And then to go back and see it just abandoned, and it was just like this, you walk past and say, what happened to this community that they would let something with such history and character lay fallow for so much time? And Ed, you brought that hotel back, and I have been there countless times, and I've been there with visitors from around the globe who've seen it. We had the World Canals Conference there. People from all over Europe were just, they're walking around like they're in awe of what you did there with respect to uncovering the early murals and bringing it back to their early glory. You will do the same here. I have no doubt that based on your track record and what your company has done, Brian Wells Development, we are going to see something that is going to be mind-boggling in its capacity to walk in the door and experience this, hopefully by 2021. Is that we're shooting for 2021? So the second we get out of here, I want to see some shovels going and really breaking down things and start working on this. But also Sam Savarino, having your involvement, tells me this is going to be a high-quality project as well. So we really have the A team here, and this community deserves it because for far too long this community has been underestimated. That time is now over. And I'm proud that I've lived long enough to see the mighty Niagara Falls come back. And this project here today is the beginning of an incredibly bright and glorious future. And I want to thank everyone involved. And with that, I'll ask Ed to say a few words. Ed Riley, the managing member of Brian Wells Development.
Good morning. As a hotelier, I apologize for the slight malfunction of the mechanical system. We'll work on that starting immediately. It's an honor to be here. Thank you to the representatives and the people who worked so hard to get this project off the ground. You have a great group. As I say, bringing back a project like this with all the complexities and all the parts and pieces to it really requires the entire community, and especially our elected leaders, to work together to make it happen. And this shows what government can do when they work together and they work well. They give projects like this and they give the community the ability to have these back. So very much thank you from my heart. I think your community was you very good round of thanks also. As far as this project is concerned, again, a historic project. It will be called the Hotel Niagara. We're going to keep the brand exactly where it is. And when we saw the brand as a tribute collection hotel, it will be a 4-diamond hotel, which means that not quite to the highest level, but it's going to be a little better than this. Lighting to it. Our project calls for starting this really in earnest probably within the next 6 weeks, and then going right forward and opening up in time for season in 2021. About 12 to 14 months of construction time in FF&E. Some of the things that we basically put together that we will do, and this is what we did on our other projects, especially in Syracuse, is we hire local. We look for local to do it. One of the things we're proud of in Syracuse is that over 85% of the work was done by local companies, local suppliers, local furniture makers. We'll be doing the same thing here. We committed to the city and to the mayor that we would do that, and we will. We also hire local from the community for jobs, and that means giving people a chance. It's a little more difficult. We have to teach them maybe a few more skills, but at the end, they make great ambassadors for your community. They know the community, they understand it, and they really talk it. They really make it there. And this is what it's about. This is going to be the symbol of your community. A lot of people are going to come here and look at it. You want to be proud of it. You want to show it off, and that's what they do. I think from a standpoint of the quality of what you're going to see on the operations side, obviously bringing a major flag with this is going to be a big part of it. We have secured both SHPO's approval and National Park Service. Some of the things that we're very proud of is we were able to get and we'll activate a rooftop lounge area so that people will be able to go out there in season, not today, but they'll be able to go out and basically enjoy the view of the falls and the gorge to go through. And we're especially excited about the rebirth of downtown here and what that's going to mean for the amount of people that come down here to visit and see this asset, but also to experience the community's hospitality. I thank very much all the folks that came here today. I thank the state and the local officials for the opportunity to do this, and we look forward to about another year and a couple of months of coming back here and having a very good party with some heat at that point. So thank you very much for your
Good morning. I won't be long, but I want to thank Governor Cuomo, Lieutenant Governor Kealioko. Every time they come, it's a wonderful, wonderful announcement. Just want to reflect on this building. I'm probably one of the few, if the only one in this room that remembers this in its glorious heyday. When I was in high school, we had fraternity parties here. We'd run down the hall to see Jimmy Thompson at WJJL. I remember one of my uncle's weddings. My cousins and I were on the top floor dropping water balloons out of his building. It was just, we were kids, we didn't know. But I want to thank Ed Riley, Sam Savarino, and the governor and the lieutenant governor, Mayor Deister, and everyone who came together to keep this iconic building going. If you look around, some of you may think, you know, it might be ready for the Wreckers Ball, which is what they did during urban renewal, but I'm so grateful that they kept this piece of history. And when it's complete, it's going to add to the portfolio that makes Niagara Falls great. Thank you very much. Paul?
Thanks very much, Lisa. Well, Lieutenant Governor, when we took that walk around, we didn't have a Hyatt, we didn't have a Hilton, we didn't have a Marriott. We've got all of those things now, and soon we're going to have the grand old lady of downtown Niagara Falls, so Hotel Niagara, back in operation. What a fantastic legacy for you as Lieutenant Governor. Thank you again. So at this time, I think we have the honor of, I don't think we're actually breaking ground, but I think we're going to break something, as I understand it. Yes. Anthony Blardo shaking his head, yes, over there. I think we're going to, without violating any union rules here, begin the demolition of this for the next phase of construction here. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you would join me.
Sorry.